So first of all, I just want to remind you to drink a glass of water. Hi everyone, welcome to our homeschool table. My name is Jerilyn. I'm a mom of 3 kids, ages 10, 3, and 1. And this coming fall in the 2024-2025 school year, we will be starting our 6th year of homeschooling. It's crazy that it's already been that long. I began staying home in 2019 when my daughter was going to be starting kindergarten that year. And since then, we have had 2 more children. So we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So today I'm going to be answering some questions my subscribers that answered in a recent community post that I put out a few weeks ago, asking for some Q&A questions. And I am going to start out with some of the easier questions first, and then get into the more, the deeper questions next. So first of all, I just want to remind you to drink a glass of water. I've been really trying this summer to drink more water. Get a glass of water before you keep watching the rest of this video. So the first question today comes from Jessica, and she asked, what levels of Bookshark or Sunlight have we used in the past? I started homeschooling my daughter when she started kindergarten in 2019. And that year I had only even started researching curriculum and things like that since the January prior to her starting kindergarten. So I definitely did not know everything there was to know yet about homeschooling. Not that you can ever really know all of that, but I still was getting my feet wet. I was a kindergarten teacher for 6 years before I started staying home. And I also taught 2nd grade the year before I started kindergarten, and was a substitute teacher for a few years as well. So I taught for a total of 10 years in an elementary public school. When we started homeschooling in kindergarten, we were keeping it very basic and simple. But as I was researching, I found Sunlight. And so I began to research a little bit more about that. And we actually started with Sunlight Level B when my daughter was in 1st grade. We wound up finishing Level B kind of partway through 2nd grade. And then we started Level C the following year. So we did Level C for kind of 2nd and 3rd grade. And then this last year, when my daughter was in 4th grade, we had switched to another curriculum for history. And we wound up not really caring for that curriculum too much. So we used it from September through November. We took December off. And then in January, a friend of mine had a Bookshark Level DE condensed 1-year program that she had used with her kids a few years ago. And so she let me borrow that. So I went through the materials and split it up into the Level D things and the Level E things, and decided to just go ahead and teach the Level D portion from January through June. We actually just finished the spine book this last week. And then this coming year, we are going to be doing Sunlight Level E, the full History Bible Literature program. And so I'm really excited about that. And my daughter really enjoys the readers and the read alouds and all of the spine books. She has really enjoyed all of them so far. I would say though that her favorite so far was Level B. And I think that was because the spine books, which were the Usborne Time Traveler and the Usborne World History book, they are very picture heavy, and they had quite a decent amount of text as well. But she really enjoyed looking at those, not only during our history time, but also just on her own during quiet time and things like that. And she really got interested in ancient Egypt and ancient Greece and things like that. So that is still her favorite time period. So she will be really excited in a couple of years when we get back to more cultures and world history instead of American history, which is what we're on this coming year. So I have been watching Emily Wilson's channel here on YouTube for probably 3 years or something. and her blog is Queen of the Household. So if you haven't heard of Emily and you enjoy cleaning motivation, homemaking, and things like that, you'll definitely want to go check her channel out. Her questions were, how did you decide to use the Charlotte Mason style? And what is your favorite reason for homeschooling? So my favorite reason for homeschooling is probably the fact that I can tailor my children's education to exactly what they need at exactly the time they need it. And if they find things that they get really interested in, we can just totally customize their education to what their interests are. Now, yes, we do math all the time, and we do language arts and things like that, but so far my daughter has had different interests each of the years. So when she was a little bit younger, she was really interested in dinosaurs and paleontology and artifacts and things like that, and she really wanted to just get books and books and books on those types of things. Then a couple years later, she was a lot more interested in marine biology and sea life, and we don't live extremely far from the ocean, probably about 2 hours or so, and so we have been to the ocean several times, and so she is very interested in just marine biology. She also is a dancer, and so she has often gone into explorations about the history of dance and where dance came from and how different types of dances have kind of evolved over the years and things like that. So it's been really cool to see her grow in areas that she really enjoys, and to not hold her back in her academics. When she was in kindergarten, I used All About Reading for teaching her how to read, and I loved that program, by the way. I can't wait to teach it again with my little guy in a few years. But my plans for her were to do level 1 in kindergarten, level 2 in first grade, and so on and so forth through second or third grade through level 4. So we're about halfway through the school year that year, and she and I were on a walk, and she just said to me one day, "Mom, can we start reading a little bit faster? I really want to go on to level 2 soon." And so I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll speed up a little bit. So we had been doing 2 lessons a week and kind of splitting it up like that. Then we started doing 4 lessons a week, and we wound up finishing level 2 by the end of kindergarten, and then we finished level 3 and 4 during first grade. So my plan for her went completely out the window, and she just kind of set the pace with how quickly she wanted to learn how to read. And now she is an avid reader. She loves reading books. She doesn't mind reading the assigned books that I have for her, as long as she still gets to pick out her own books from the library and things like that. But she really enjoys reading, and I'm really glad that I listened to her and went along with the time schedule that worked for her instead of what I had planned. So that is probably my favorite reason for homeschooling. How did you decide to use the Charlotte Mason style? So when I was first homeschooling, I did all of my research like most people do here on YouTube, and I had found several very seasoned homeschool moms that had been posting videos since 2019 or earlier. And one of the channels that I found pretty close to the beginning was Simply Charlotte Mason with Sonia Schaefer. And so I was very intrigued by the short lessons and all of the great books and the living book style, which I had never heard that term living book before, even in all of my years of teaching and early childhood education. So I just kind of watched every video and then wound up finding other resources too that kind of led me to a more Charlotte Mason style. And we are definitely not Charlotte Mason purists around here. We do read a lot of books, and we use Sunlight, which is a very literature-rich curriculum for history, Bible, and literature. But we do the kind of basics of enrichment through the Charlotte Mason style. So we do music and composer study, artist study, a little bit of nature study, although we aren't super into like nature walks specifically. We go on lots of walks and we do look at things when we're out there, but I wouldn't call them like scientific nature walks by any means. We don't have nature journals and draw everything we see, although that sounds nice, and for some people I'm sure that would be awesome. It's just not us. But so we do lots of the Charlotte Mason things, but we're not super rigid about it. I do really like lots of Charlotte Mason's kind of pointers, you might say, the short lessons and the focus on the riches and learning lots of different things so that children can find out kind of what their interests are. And I think that it's really important to kind of learn a little bit about a lot of things so that you can figure out where you want to dive deeper and things like that. So that is kind of why I chose the Charlotte Mason method. The next set of questions comes from Fenya, and her first question was, I'd love to know more about you. Just a few get to know me things about me personally. I am 40 years old and I'm about to turn 41, which is actually really exciting because that's a prime number and I really like prime numbers. My husband and I have been married for 12 years this August. We have 3 kids. We don't have any pets. My favorite color is green. When I was growing up, I did dance from the time I was 3 until I was 13. I really love coffee, especially white chocolate, iced white chocolate mochas. I really enjoy beautiful views like mountain views, or if you're up kind of high, seeing the view of the valley or things like that. I really like to go see the Oregon coast, but I don't actually like being out on the beach. It's very windy and kind of cold most of the time. I really like being out there if it's a nice warm day, but that is very rare that you can actually go to the beach and have warm unless you're very spontaneous and go on a day that you know it's going to be beautiful, but that almost never happens. I really love ice cream. However, this summer I've decided to stop buying ice cream for our house, and I only eat ice cream socially. So for parties and if we're gonna go out or something like that, I might have some. I really like to be outside, and I just recently started a very small garden. And when I say small, I mean like 2 feet by 4 feet. It has 2 zucchini plants, 3 lettuce plants, a celery plant, and a marigold. That's it. I, in the past, have killed pretty much everything I've tried to grow, so this is going to be a new adventure, and I learned how to use Miracle-Gro, so I'm really hoping that I actually can produce something, so that'll be fun. The town that I live in is very into 4th of July, and so we are getting ready, from when I'm filming this, it's before 4th of July, but we are getting ready for a big 4th of July party, and the big 4th of July parade goes right by our house, and there's a rodeo here in town, so it's very festive, and we get 4 nights of fireworks shows. Obviously the 4th is the best because there's all of the people that live around us that are doing fireworks as well, but we will have the rodeo next week, and my daughter is going to be in the kiddie parade, and she's very excited because she hasn't been in the kiddie parade since 2019, I think. And when you're in it, you get free tickets to the rodeo that night, so she's really pumped to hopefully get to go to the rodeo that night. I was born in California, and we moved to Southeast Washington when I was little, and I was raised there until I went to college. I went to Washington State University for college and studied human development and sociology. When I was in college, I became a yoga instructor and taught yoga pretty much full time when I first moved after college. And so I was a fitness instructor and a yoga instructor. And let's see, I became a nanny for a little while and worked in a couple preschools. And then I decided that I wanted to go back and get my master's in teaching because I had wanted to be a teacher since I was in 2nd grade. And so I decided to go back and get that. And I student taught, and at the same building where I student taught, I wound up getting a job there a couple years later because I got to know the teachers and subbed for them all the time. And then I taught kindergarten for 6 years, which I loved. And then in 2018, my husband asked if I would consider staying home to homeschool. And at first I was completely like, no, I'm not doing that. I've wanted to be a teacher my entire life, and I don't want to stay home. I want to teach. And then I finally was kind of thinking about like, okay, well, then I get to see my own child learning and growing instead of her teachers getting to see her do all of that, because she went to a small private Christian daycare school. So, so it took me that whole year to kind of wrap my head around being done teaching. And I just took a leave of absence just in case. I thought maybe I would hate homeschooling or staying home or something like that. But I knew that I couldn't mess up kindergarten for her because that was what I was experienced in teaching. So I took a leave of absence that year, and we started kindergarten in the fall of 2019. And I actually found a couple friends from my church that were also starting to homeschool. And so we started kind of a little once a week art time together, and we would just kind of hang out and do activities, and the kids would play. And so that was really fun. And so that year, in the beginning of 2020, I had to let the district know that I was not coming back. And so I did that in February. And then, of course, you know what happened in March. And then I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so thankful that I started staying home when I did. I didn't have to be a teacher during all of that. I didn't have to have a student in school during all of that. We were just at home, and honestly, we're kind of just doing the same thing that we did before. A little bit of reading, a little bit of writing, a little bit of math, and we really enjoyed it. And so I was really glad that I stuck it out, and we've been homeschooling ever since, and I plan to homeschool all the way through high school with all 3 of the kids, and I've been really enjoying it. But that was also kind of answering the second question that Fenya had, which was what brought you to homeschooling? So my husband actually was the one that kind of nudged me forward in homeschooling. He knew I would do a great job. He had a lot of faith that I could teach our kids, and so I just kind of deep dived, is that a word? Into learning all I could about homeschooling and all the curriculums that were available and things like that. And I found so many great homeschool channels that I gleaned a lot of great information from. And even way back then, I thought, oh, I wish I could, you know, share what we're doing on YouTube, but that was not something that I was going to actually do. But now that I've been doing it for a little bit longer, and I feel like I have more things to share about what we've learned, or just the things that we do that might help somebody else. I just really always enjoyed watching channels where the person was just very real, and it wasn't a show, or I don't know. I just really liked the real homeschool channels, and so that's kind of what I hoped to do here, is to just be real and authentic about what we're doing here in our house, and maybe something could inspire you And it was actually another YouTube channel that I found just this last, I think I started watching her channel in January. Her name is Sara at Blessed Homeschool. Hi, Sara. And she had mentioned in one of her videos, I think it was like her 1-year anniversary or something like that, she had a cupcake. And she had said on there that if you have some sort of hobby that you've been really wanting to do, or something that you've been thinking about but you just haven't done it yet, that you should just do it. And so that same week that I had watched that, I think it was the same week, I got our Sunlight HBLE box in the mail, and I thought, I could unbox that and just show people what's in the box. Like, that's easy. So that was my first video. Don't go back and watch it. You probably don't want to see. It was unedited basically, and probably really terrible. But not that my videos now are super great by any means, but I just want to be real, and here I am. So if you ever have any questions, let me know. I would love to answer them in a video for you. The last question that Fenya asked was, how do you come up with your schedule? Now, scheduling is a very flexible and moldable thing here at our house. I have been trying to figure out the best schedule for us since we started staying home. And finally, what I've come to realize is that your schedule is going to change constantly. We change our schedule kind of with the seasons. Here in Oregon, we have a lot of rain and a lot of dreary days in the winter. So during that time, we hardly go outside. So our school days look a lot different at that time of year than they do in the spring, when we can go outside and be in the yard and things like that. And so, so our schedules change a lot. You don't have to do every curriculum every day. You can alternate days. You can put different curriculums on a loop schedule. So it just kind of depends on how you like to do it. It also depends on what kind of time you have, and if you work on the side or from home, or just all those types of things. So each family has their own schedule, just like each family has their own way of getting ready for bed, or the order of which you do things to get ready for the day in the morning, and things like that. So schedules are very different for different people. And it kind of depends on how independent the children are. And some kids are independent earlier on in their grade levels than others. And so it just kind of depends on what you have going on. When we first started homeschooling, it was just my daughter and I. And then in first grade is when I was pregnant with my son and had him kind of towards the end of her first grade year. So then having a baby in the house completely changes the schedule again. And then last year we had another baby, which is a girl. And so now we have a toddler and a baby. So the schedule has obviously changed quite a bit then as well. So I am going to be sharing about our summer schedule and kind of what we're doing. But then also I'm going to be doing some planning for what I foresee our schedule looking like when we start school up again in mid to late August. So that is a little bit about how I schedule. So I think that's about it for today's video. So thank you for joining me today to listen to the answers to some of these questions that people have asked. And if you have any more questions for me that I can kind of keep on file for the next Q&A later on, I don't know when that will be, but if you do have more questions, please let me know down in the comments. I'd be happy to do another Q&A later on. If you are new to my channel, then please introduce yourself down below. I would love to just know who subscribes and where you're from, or how long you've been homeschooling, or just anything about yourself that you would like to share. It's fun getting to know you guys that way. And it can be kind of weird since you're on the other side of the camera and you don't really know who you're talking to, but it's just kind of fun to get to know people down in the comments. So don't forget to comment down below, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and like this video if you enjoy content like this. And I hope you guys are all having a great day, and we'll see you next time.